Right. Alright. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And very good morning, everyone. Who is there? Mr. Jadif, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Alhamdulillah, very much good. Alright. Thank you so much. We are berada dalam Blessed Friday, iaitu di hari Jumaat yang barakah. Kita nak testing dulu. Kita dah live ke belum? Boleh say yes or maybe kita tengok dulu siapa yang dah berada bersama kita. Can I see that first? Alright, can I check on that dulu? Yes, and kita juga sebenarnya berada di hari Jumaat 11 Disember 2020, Mr. Jadif. Hari ini ialah cuti umum warga Selangor. Right? So, warga Selangor sebenarnya sempena hari sambutan Hari Keputeraan yang ke-75 Duli Yang Maha Mulia Tunku Sultan Selangor. Semoga Allah memberkati dan melanjutkan usia baginda tuanku. Amin. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Right.
Amin. Amin.
So, Mr. Jadif, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming back as demanded. And as requested by all, many of your kita panggil you punya peminat-peminat dah banyak. Okay, so basically itulah dia, sebabkan banyak peminat-peminat yang mungkin ramai yang tertanya Mr. Jadif sampai kita tunggu ramai lagi yang masuk maybe mereka bertanya, people ask, kenapa we have a second part? Yes, as I said, kita tak habis lagi parts by parts sebenarnya. Maafkan saya. Kita ada 3 parts in regards to this topic. Iaitu part 1, kita dah cover 2 minggu lepas. And today kita akan cover part 2. Dan ketiga ialah part 3, kita akan buat next week insyaAllah. Dengan izin Allah. Jadi Mr. Jadif, again, tanpa melengahkan masa lagi, since kita ada masa 1 jam untuk kali ini bersama-sama dengan Mr. Jadif, sekali lagi, a brief introductions on him for those who missed the part 1. Mr. Jadif adalah a pharmacist by profession for the past 35 years. He is also a professionally skilled in coaching, nutraceutical and health food. Apa dia? Nak dengar apa yang Mr. Jadif nak kongsikan, teruskan bersama kami. Stay tuned with us sampai ke akhir live nanti, iaitu about 45 minutes to 1 hour today. Boleh? So, Mr. Jadif, ramai yang dah bersedia. Maybe sebelum saya lupa, please mohon tekan butang share so that it reach more people, so that this maklumat ini akan sampai ke ramai lagi yang mendengar, viewers kita. Right? So those who miss the live, don't worry, it is still a recorded versions berada di FB, kita panggil wall saya dan maybe live klinik saya insyaAllah. Tapi anda boleh menonton akan datang sekiranya we miss it. Right, okay, Mr. Jadif, tanpa melengahkan masa lagi, kita mahu kupas topik ini Mr. Jadif, iaitu as semua faham, ini adalah part kedua, iaitu daripada siri yang pertama yang kita telah kongsikan by Mr. Jadif. Apakah inflammation itu dan what are the foods, sebab kita nak fokus kepada pemakanan dulu. Apakah food yang menyebabkan inflammation? Kita dah cover 3. Hari ini Mr. Jadif berbesar hati nak recap sedikit in view of siapa yang tertinggal. Okay Mr. Jadif, over to you.
Okey, terima kasih Dr. Linda. Selamat sejahtera kepada semua orang keluarga Malaysia.
Masya-Allah.
Once again to appear in Dr. Linda's live Facebook. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to address a very important issue, an issue on inflammation. Ramai orang tak tahu. Actually inflammation ataupun dalam bahasa Melayu ni radangan, okay? Radangan or inflamasi, boleh juga lah inflamasi itu. It is the underlying cause, sebab punca utama up to 95% chronic illness kita Diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer disease, colon disease, macam-macam arthritis, macam-macam lah, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, brain related, body related, semua disease ni punca utama, the root cause. Orang kata root cause is inflammasi. In fact, you can go deeper down to the root cause. I will not go into, but I will focus on few things, right? I think last week, or rather 2 weeks ago, we focused on there are many areas lah yang boleh menyebabkan inflamasi. The easiest one is like, for example, COVID. Actually, COVID is causing inflammation. The virus, virus, bacteria actually causes inflammation. But the body has got a mechanism to fight. The body has got a mechanism to fight. So if you put a foreign body into your body, the body has got a mechanism to fight. That is acute inflammation. Acute secara sekejap je body akan fight. Lepas tu you akan reda daripada penyakit, overcome the inflammation. Okay, that is acute inflammation. Tapi apa yang saya akan bincangkannya hari ini ialah chronic inflammation. Inflammation yang disebabkan oleh pemakanan yang tak betul, yang kita continue untuk makan. Kalau kita makan satu benda yang tak betul tu, body akan react. Tapi kalau kita continue makan benda tu yang tak betul sampai kita tak tahu apa yang tak betul tu, itulah menyebabkan chronic inflammation. So I will discuss about this chronic inflammation. The first, so inflammation actually is good. Inflammation is untuk menyahkan toksik-toksik daripada kita punya badan. So it's a good process. Tetapi bila you continue makan makanan yang tak betul tu, dia akan jadi chronic. So you must understand apa dia food yang boleh menyebabkan chronic inflammation ni. So number one, I already cover. Ini ulas kaji macam
ulang kaji.
The first one I mentioned the last 2 weeks ago was sugar. Okay, now we all know sugar is bad, but we continue to put sugar and continue to eat sugar. That's why it's causing chronic inflammation. Until you stop sugar too, then the chronic inflammation will stop for sugar saja. Ada banyak, I already told you, there are 9 parts, 9 food components. Okay, so sugar is really very bad. White sugar, in fact, any form of sugar. The only sugar that I recommend probably is honey. In fact, Nabi in his Quran has already mentioned it many times that honey ataupun madu is really very good. So that could be a good substance to add as a replacement for sugar. The other one is stevia. Stevia pun boleh juga. The other one that I also recommend is palm sugar. Palm sugar macam gula nipah ke gula
karbon, we call it coconut sugar, sorry.
It is because the minerals are still there, not processed, so it's still not too bad. Bukan macam white sugar ataupun sugar daripada sugar cane. Okay, so I already covered sugar. Next we covered omega 6 oil. 3 oil yang saya telah kata jangan makan, jangan ambil. 1, sunflower oil. Number 2, corn oil. Number 3 is soya bean oil. Ini tiga ni ada banyak komponen omega 6. This is I ulang kaji je lah. Okay, those who didn't hear, ada komponen omega 6 tu. Omega 6 ni sekarang sains telah pun banyak kajian yang menunjukkan bahawa omega 6, pemakanan omega 6 secara banyak-banyak ni dia akan menyebabkan inflamasi. Okay, so omega 6. So what is the good oil to take? Actually, the best oil is what your nenek moyang dah pun makan semenjak dulu kala, minyak kelapa. So minyak kelapa is probably the best oil on planet Earth. Minyak palm oil pun not too bad, but worst is sunflower, corn oil, soybean oil. So you have to remove this oil. Otherwise, kalau continue makan benda macam ni, will continue to have chronic inflammation. Okay, so that's number 2. And number 3 is white grain or processed grain. Okay, white rice, white bread, sugar, so grain. You must understand sugar. Orang banyak tak tahu sugar cane ni, dia ni daripada sumber grass. Okay, padi is also grass, daripada komplot yang disebut sebagai GRAS lah. GRAS tu macam apa dalam bahasa Melayu? GRAS? Rumput kot.
Rumput lalang, macam tu lah.
Rumput lalang, okay. Yes. So they're all the same category tau. Semua dalam same category tu, okay. Wheat, gandum, dia pun dalam rumpun tu juga. Rumput tu, okay, grass. They're all grass family tau. So padi, millet, barley, wheat, even sugarcane and corn. Kalau kita tengok corn punya tanaman dia, corn dia memang macam lalang juga, okay. So rumput is also dalam grass family tu. And all grass family tu, kalau kita buat banyak-banyak proses tu, actually it's not good for you. So white rice, white bread is definitely not good. And I explained to you the last time, the wheat and the white rice that we are taking today, okay, what has happened is, in the 70s, they did a lot of studies, and they have created hybrids. Okay, hybrid ni, dia pilih pucuk lah, okay, pilih, and these hybrids are the one which is causing the problem today. So gandum and white rice, they are not so good. Go back to whole grain, or go back to brown rice. Okay, brown rice, the concept is still there, but when you process it to become white rice, it's causing a lot of problem. So it can cause sugar to increase and will also lead to inflammation. So that's the three first component lah, sugar, omega 6 dengan
refined grains.
Okay, so these are three. So shall we go to number 4? Any questions?
Yes, so far so good. They are all ready, and adalah sedikit few soalan menyatakan, how about avocado and olive oil, as we said.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay. Now, good question. Okay, avocado is fine. The amount of omega-6 is not high. Olive oil also, the amount of omega-6 is only about 10%. Okay, dalam komponen olive oil, about 75% of the olive oil is monounsaturated. Okay, boleh pakai. Okay, tapi yang saya dah sebut banyak kali itu omega 6 lah yang menyebabkan inflamasi ni. Okay, dalam olive oil hanya 10% saja omega 6. Kalau kita tengok palm oil pun about 9 to 10%. If you look at all the good oils, about 9 to 10%. So one way to know whether the oil is good or bad, look at the amount of omega 6. Kalau kita tengok coconut oil ataupun minyak kelapa, komponen omega 6 tu hanya 2% saja. 2% saja. Okay. So which means it is not going to cause inflammasi. Okay, omega 6 dalam komponen yang banyak tu boleh menyebabkan inflamasi. So going back, sunflower oil, corn oil, soybean oil is bad, but avocado oil not too bad, boleh pakai. Olive oil pun boleh pakai juga. Tapi olive oil kalau boleh jangan guna sebagai masak. I already told you before, sebagai dressing is very good. That's fine. Kalau kita guna sebagai masak, because they is monounsaturated, it is very unstable, can disturb the stability of the oil. Okay?
Yeah, okay. So Mr. Jagdiv, so now hari ini kita nak bongkarkan 3 lagi. Apakah 3 lagi point in terms of inflammatory food? Mr. Jagdiv is ready on his slides.
Okay, let me share my screen first. Okay, just hold on.
Yes. So itu dia, kita nak mereka bersedia dengan 3 points akan datang supaya kita perbincangan kita ataupun soalan kita mohon berkitar about these 3 points first, supaya kita boleh faham one by one. Okay, Mr. Jagdiv, over to you.
Okay, first disclaimer sebagai just to make sure that everybody understand, this information is based on my research. I may go against a lot of people. That's not my idea. My idea is to give you the information. You decide whether is it good for you or bad for you. You do more research. My idea here is to trigger you punya
mind untuk berfikir.
Point. Okay, untuk buat fikiran saja, okay? Because I am just giving you this information. So the views expressed here are based on my personal research. It may not necessarily be in line with current norms or practices, okay? Pasal apa? Banyak orang dia dah buat dia punya opinion and then they keep to their opinion. I am changing some of this opinion, okay? Number 2, the information herein should not be used to replace any medical advice or treatments for medical conditions. So I'm not a medical doctor, I'm a pharmacist. You need any further information or medical advice, go back to Dr. Linda. She'll be the best person to seek advice. And lastly, always seek further clarification from your physicians, nutritionists, and or dietitians. Some of these physicians, nutritionists, or dietitians may follow what I say, but may not follow what I say. At the end of the day, it is your body, it is your health. You decide. You decide what you want to do with your body and your health. So you can just accept all this information, or you can macam Melayu, pepatah Melayu lah, ambil yang jernih, buang yang keruh. Okay, so that's all I'm going to share with you today. Okay. This is the number 4. Okay, top inflammatory food number 4, trans fats. Okay, I have to explain to you apa dia trans fats. Okay, ini bukan sebarang fats. This is a fat which is not natural. Bukan natural. This is actually a processed fat. Okay, let me tell you the history behind this. Masa dulu kala kita dah memang guna butter sebagai kita punya source of fats. Okay, kita ambil milk, kita tahu macam mana nak buat butter daripada milk. Daripada milk, kita buat butter. Tapi the whole process is very, very tedious, very expensive. Milk is very expensive nowadays, so people always try to find shortcut. Way back in the and something that I can commercialize very easy, and also something that doesn't spoil. That's very important. Dia tak mudah hanyir ataupun rosak. Okay, so in the way back in the 1920s, saya rasa 1920s, 1910, dia sudah buat eksperimen macam mana nak buat butter like, looks like butter tapi bukan butter. Okay, looks like butter tapi bukan butter. Itulah mula-mulanya came the idea of margarine. Okay, I'll explain to you in the next slide. Margarine, how the process to make margarine. It is a very tedious process, but actually you can commercialize it, and at the end of the day, it is much more cheaper to produce margarines because it is big commercialization compared to say milk, butter, and ghee. Okay, now this margarine, okay, what has happened in the margarine is, okay, you can see there are 2 fatty acid there. Okay, one is cis fatty acid, one is trans fatty acid. There, you boleh nampak ni Okay, now. Basically, fatty acid actually there are only 3 main components of food. One is glucose, or sugar, carbohydrates. The other one is fats, and last is protein. Okay, protein dia ada amino acid. Fats is fatty acid. Okay, so all fats will have fatty acid, and these fatty acids are short chain, medium chain, or long chain. Okay, so this is an example. Dia semua C dengan H je. C ni carbon. C ni carbon, H. So every carbon ni dia ada 1, 2, 3, 4. So they are attached to four components. Okay. Now if you go back to this C, this particular C, dia C ni boleh ada double bond. Okay, boleh ada double bond. Bila C ada double bond ni, it becomes a little unstable. Okay. So now this is a H. So in the space H ni ada dalam tempat sama saja. Ni H. Tapi bila kita treat this part of the C, dia boleh macam twist, okay? Twist. Bila dia twist, atau sebagai perkataan dia, actually sebenarnya adalah trans. So bila jadi trans, okay? Now this component dia jadi sebagai foreign body. Foreign body means the body akan mengeluarkan inflamasi untuk menyahkan benda ni. Pasal apa? Benda ni tak digalakkan, tak mau. Body kata, ini foreign body ni, kita boleh mesti keluarkan body ni. Okay? So, this is a trans that develops, that happens, that is manufactured when you take margarine and you take the oil first. I'll explain to you about the margarine, macam mana kita buat margarine. Okay, so this margarine yang kita guna ni, dia sudah pun trans. Okay, sudah trans, body cannot accept it, body will. So now, you ambil 1 hari, 2 hari, 3 hari, body boleh menyahkan. Tetapi, kalau kita makan hari-hari makan benda ni, itulah jadinya kronik inflamasi. Right? And this margarine, kita masuk dalam coklat, kita masuk dalam biskit. Now, every biscuit, tak kisah mana biscuit lah, semua ada trans fats. Any biscuit in the world. Pasal dia tak guna butter, unless you guna butter, kalau you guna margarine, dia mesti ada trans fats. Kalau kita guna margarine buat cake, mesti ada trans fats. Breakfast cereal, bread pun ada trans fats. Burger, semua, French fries. French fries ni, you see, you take the potato tu, okay, kentang tu, you masuk dalam oil tu, and you put very high heat, what happens? Oil may be good. On high heat, it will turn to trans fats. Okay, now that's the reason why you use, say, sunflower oil. Dia ada banyak C, double carbon, banyak omega 6 tu double carbon. So a lot of this will turn to trans fats. So the lesser the omega 6, the lesser the trans fats. For example, coconut oil pun boleh ada trans fat, tapi the chances of trans fat di coconut oil only 2% saja. Kalau kita tengok sunflower oil tu 70% is omega 6. So higher amount of trans fats. Sikit body boleh menyahkan. Kalau banyak hari-hari you makan, so that's the main problem lah kan. So this French fries masuk kentang, masuk dalam oil, put high temperature, trans akan berlaku. So about 5% of all French fries is actually trans fats. And if you eat French fries, hari-hari makan French fries dalam you punya dengan you punya burger tu, apa dia jadi? Inflamasi lah dia benda tu. Okay? Because the body is always trying to get rid of this trans fat because the body doesn't want the trans fats. So pastries, pizza, fried chicken, as long as you fry with the wrong oil, you are going to get trans fat. So this is the problem with trans fats, and they are found in almost every processed food. This is the biggest problem. Okay, you nak makan benda apa benda pun, alamak ada trans fats tu. You makan sikit tak apa, kalau hari-hari makan, itulah problem dia. Okay, so you are going to have this problem of inflammation because the body is going to create the white blood cells and all these cells to go and fight and to menyahkan, to talk. Dia trans fat ni sebagai satu toksin lah, sebagai satu poison. Dia kena keluarkan poison ni. Okay, so that's where the process of inflammation starts. Okay, now why do the industry likes to use margarine? Two reasons aja. Two reasons. First is it increases the shelf life. Margarine ni pasal dia ada banyak preservative dan masuk banyak benda tu, dia boleh last on the shelf life longer period. Setahun, setengah tahun ke 1 tahun dia boleh last. Itu is a good point for the commercial companies. Dia rasa pasal kalau benda tu last only for 1 week, dia tak mau pasal orang tak beli, habis rosak. So they want something to last for a longer period of time. So that's why they prefer to use margarine in biscuit, for example. Biscuit, kalau kita guna oil biasa, kalau kita guna coconut oil, for example, very fast hanyir. Dia tak boleh guna coconut oil. You boleh tahu. You kalau nasi lemak, you masuk coconut oil kat dalam you punya nasi lemak. Dalam masa 1 hari je nasi itu akan hanyir. One day, basi, right? Okay, same. Because it's the same concept. Kalau kita guna coconut oil dalam kita punya biscuit, apa dia biscuit? Biscuit tu made of grains, macam nasi juga, wheat. Kalau kita masuk wheat, kalau kita masuk coconut oil dalam kita punya wheat, 1, 2, 3 hari, dia akan jadi basi. Okay, tapi this one will not turn basi because it is preservative dah masuk dalam, and that's why the companies, they prefer to use margarine compared to butter or coconut oil and many other things. And secondly is it improves the flavor stability of oils and foods that contain them. So flavor dia, you akan rasa flavor dia. Sugar tu tak akan rosak. Kalau basi, habislah flavor dia tak habis. You tak akan makan benda yang basi because your mouth, your tongue will reject the food because dah rosak. Tapi ini benda ni tak akan rosak. So tapi benda ni masuk dalam kita punya badan, dia merosakkan badan kita. That's the problem. Okay, trans fats. So you have to avoid trans fats as much as possible. Tapi easier said than done because it is so commercialized. Our food is so commercialized. It is found in almost every commercialized food. It's there. Okay, you can see the word shortening. Okay, you know this. I try not to mention the brand names, but you can see shortening bread. Okay, itu shortening bread pun memang dah ada trans fats kat dalam tu. Kalau you makan ice cream, okay, kalau makan ice cream sekali dalam 1 bulan, okay, tak apa, your body will know to manage it. Tapi kalau you makan ice cream hari-hari, itu penuh dengan trans fats. Penuh dengan trans fats sana. So the body has to always remove. So after a while the body say, ayah, we better just release all the inflamasi punya cells tu supaya kita continue to clean up. After a while, clean up apa? You start disease to start to take place. Okay, so this is the problem with trans fats. Okay, now I know this is a very busy slide, but this is the process of making margarine. Okay, so basic problem is the margarine. Okay, now they made, and you know what? Warga Malaysia, they use soya bean. They use coin.
Okay.
They use canola. Now these oils are already bad in the first place. Okay. Now you are going to make margarine from this. So they have got a process. These oils are liquid. Dia cair. Okay. Tapi dia nak buat butter like kan, pasal you dah suka dengan idea of butter like. Okay. So they make process. Okay. Jadi dia kenyal dan jadi dia harden a bit. Okay. Now that butter, original color, kalau you tengok, you tak akan makan. Original color of the margarine is grey color. Grey. Original color. So, dia akan masuk coloring. Bagi dia color like. What is the color of butter? Yellow. Kalau color of butter was red, they would have made it red. Kalau color of the butter was blue, they would have made it blue. So, basically is because your mind know butter is yellow. So, they make coloring to put yellow color so that it is yellow like, so that you feel it's butter like. Tapi it is very, very dangerous to take margarines, okay? And even the spray, kalau kita guna spray tu, kita guna spray dulu I pun tak tahu benda ni. Kita guna spray tu, kita masuk atas roti. Sedap, okay? Tapi sekarang we understand all these sprays, as I said, I don't want to mention brand names. You all know the brand names. They are butter-like. Butter-like. Okay, you can very easy to put on the bread. Tapi they are all having a lot of trans fats. Okay, so now you understand margarine. You understand trans fats. The underlying cause of problem is the trans fats. Because it's a foreign body. Now, so this is the process, process of making margarine. Can you see here? Soap-like emulsifier mixed in. Okay, dia ada masuk macam buat sabun. Okay, emulsifier tu. And then it is always, and you know what? They put artificial flavor, synthetic vitamins, natural, and the color they add. Okay, and then they always sell it as a health product. Do you know or not? This is the page advertise healthy product. Okay, but it's not healthy. It's far from healthy. It's going to cause a lot of problems, and this is a major problem. And this is my last slide on trans fats. What are the problems it can cause? Right. Okay, let me just.
Right, this is important. Yeah, this is important.
Take a breather. Baca benda ni. Okay, take a breather. Baca benda ni. Then I'll explain to you one by one. Health problems. Yeah. Okay. Now you can see on top here are what our children are taking today now. Okay, burger, pizzas, all this food, donut ni. Okay, donut banyaknya trans fat karena donut tu. Actually donut, there are 3 things which is already going wrong. First, sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar. Second, white flour. Third, trans fats. 3 things at one go. It's the worst food you can take. But we like to buy donuts for our children. Dia seronok dia tengok kita seronok dia tengok dia makan. Tapi apa dia makan? Kena tanya apa dia tengah makan tu. dia tengah makan benda-benda yang merosakkan, menjadamkan badan dia. Satu kali makan tak apa. Tapi kalau you makan every other day, you're going to get problem. Okay, you say, oh, I take donut only once a month. Tapi kalau you makan donut once a month, this one once a month, this one once a month, this one once a month, macam-macam, like as though you're taking every other day, you're taking something which has got once a month. So you think, okay? French fries once a month. Tak boleh. Kalau 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, this is already 10 days in a month. You understand? So and this is French fries. Okay. Now, these are all the food that we are commonly taking, and they are all sold in the commercial food. And you, as mothers, as parents, you have to explain this to your children, because why? Children, dia suka makan makanan macam ni, pasal dia sedap. Dia sedap, and that's the reason why your tongue, lidah kamu akan menjemput food macam ni masuk ke badan. Dia jemput, lidah tu ada menjemput. Silakan, aku nak makan benda ni. Tapi kalau makan masuk dalam kita punya badan, membinasakan, merosakkan kita punya health. Now, this is long term. Sekali you makan, 2 kali you makan, you tak akan nampak dia punya perbezaan dia. Tapi it will take about 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, then you get penyakit-penyakit, and then you say, mana datang penyakit ni? Oh, pasal saya tua. Actually, no. It is all because of this food that we're taking. Okay? Number 1, okay, it will increase your bad cholesterol. All this food will increase your bad cholesterol. Okay? And will decrease your good cholesterol. Okay? And this can lead to heart-related problem. Now, this can also lead to increase in weight and having weight at the center, at the mid area of your body. Okay, a lot of people having problem at the mid area of the body. Now, this is where some of these problems come in. These are the fats which will get stored. The body will try to, as I said, body will try to reduce, but after a while, inflammation starts in. Inflammation is a process that will store the fats. It's all inflamed. Actually, obesity is, I'm going to repeat this. Obesity atau kegemukan is actually a reaction of inflammation. Obesity is inflammation. It is IL-6, interleukin. For those who understand science, IL-6, interleukin-6, it is actually a place to store all this inflammation. So it is actually a storage. It's part of inflammation. That's why you get fats there. Okay. Now, these fats, if you understand a little bit about how the cell work, okay, I know I'm going to go a bit deeper. Sometimes I have to explain this lah. Cell tu,
go on.
Dia ada sebelum glukos boleh masuk tu, sebelum glukos masuk dalam sel tu, dia ada kunci. Kunci tu is insulin. Insulin, kalau insulin kena buka kunci tu, baru glukos boleh masuk dalam kita punya sel. Tetapi these fats ni, dia boleh merosakkan kunci tu. Okay? Dia macam, you know, your normal kunci mangga tu, you rosak, you key tu tak boleh masuk. Okay? So that's why the key of insulin is a hormone. Key tu tak boleh masuk. Dia tak boleh bergerak. So, glukos tu tak akan boleh masuk dalam kita punya sel. So, glukos tu akan jadi berbanyak. And this is where insulin resistance starts in. Insulin tu tak boleh masuk. Insulin tu tak boleh bekerja. So this is called insulin resistance. Insulin resistance lah menyebabkan diabetes. Okay, so you people don't realize this. Okay, dia ingat, oh, ni diabetes ni is come from sugar. No, it is also coming from the wrong fats. Wrong fats. Okay, so these are the wrong fats that is damaging the key to masuk nak menyebabkan insulin tu bekerja. Okay, so this is a lot of people don't understand this. A lot of people don't think. For them, diabetes, sugar. Okay, but all this can also cause diabetes. Okay, people don't realize this. Then and inflammation, we all know this. It can over a long period of time. It can cause arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, Alzheimer's disease. Even as I said, diabetes is also part of inflammation. Okay, cancer is inflammation. These are all metabolic syndrome lah. Can cause diseases. Okay, so there are many pains. You know, at the age of 40, 45, you ada pain sini, you bangkit je ada pain kat sini. Actually, this is all part and parcel of inflammation, and you must understand food which is causing this problem. Okay, even cancers, breast cancers, colon cancers, they're all ni cancer ni. Actually cancer ni dia gambar aja kat bawah ni it's actually a crab kan, ketam. Actually ketam tu cancer. Because actually people don't know this. Cancer is the Greek word for ketam. Okay, masa dulu kala about 1,000 years ago when they operate, dia tengok benda tu ada macam harden kat sana tu, dia operate, dia tengok macam crab like tau, macam dia ada satu mass kat sana, ada benda-benda macam ni, macam crab. That's why they call cancer. Okay, that's how the word cancer is referred to as a disease. It is actually ketam ataupun crab like. Kalau kita tengok dalam tu, and also can cause harmful gut bacteria. Now all this food also can cause an imbalance of the gut bacteria. Now gut bacteria is a very big topic, and maybe another day, one fine day, I will talk about the gut bacteria. It's a very, very important topic. But the imbalance of the gut bacteria can cause a lot of problem. Today we are beginning to realize how important the gut bacteria is. But to this thought I will not focus. But I'm just trying to tell you, this food can also disrupt, can cause an imbalance to the gut hormone or microbiome or the gut bacteria. Okay, so this is trans fats. Okay, I will go to the next one. Any questions? I'll be more than happy to answer you.
Right. So, my God, Mr. Jagdeep. So this is the fourth point on the trans fat that causes inflammation, so-called inflammatory food. And this is actually one of the silent killer. Right?
Betul.
So much silent. Kita tak nampak, kita tak rasa, but it's so much silent. Kita selalu cakap hypertension silent, yeah, but a lot more. Before dapat hypertension tu, the food that Mr. Jagdeep was trying to say, to explain that day to day we eat. Well, itulah dia. Maybe challenges kita is because of the modernizations. Am I right, Mr. Jagdeep? Yeah,
betul. Modernization is one thing. It's commercialization.
Yeah. Commercialization satu. Not just that kita tidak we are not rejecting organizations, commercializations, we do. Tapi kita perlu tahu, the word is we have to know, we have to aware of what is happening, and most important, the actions to be taken. Right? It's not just knowing, tapi tak ada actions. Dalam perpatah Muslim ada kata, ada ilmu tanpa beramal, something like that, Jagdeep, ya. Maksudnya ada ilmu but you don't have actions, tak jadi apa-apa. So I think it can be difficult. We hear that. I mean, all of us we go through a busy life kind of thing because kita nak grab the food over the shelf, kan? Maybe that is what we're trying to explain. Kita nak anak kita cepat just makan this food in the car so that they can go to tuition center, let's say, because very busy kan, kita need to be on the go. But we hear you, but it must be some options about it, alright? If we were to know, we mothers, kita sebagai ibu-ibu yang di rumah, as mothers, as parents, if we know this, my dear, we got a lot of things to do. There's so much options, in fact. Right, Mr. Jagdeep. So again, very much important points to be taken on point for that matter. Kita beralih kepada point ke-5, iaitu teruskan, Mr. Jagdeep.
Okay, point ke-5. Now this point, many people may not agree. I know I'm talking against the milk industry, but this is I myself have a major problem, okay? Because we are Punjabis, we have been drinking milk, but I tell you, based on my personal data, but personal information that I have gained, okay, dairy is something that you should, if possible, avoid, okay? Because it is the number 5th, the reason of inflammation is dairy. Okay, I'll explain to you. Okay, let me explain to you. Now, dairy maknanya susu, susu. Orang actually kalau kita tengok kan susu ni, kalau sebagai bayi kecil, okay, kita minum susu, right? And we drink from the mother's milk. Okay, that is what we have learned about this. Okay, it is something that we practice. Now, if you go to the animal kingdom, okay, kalau kita masuk ke animal kingdom tu, kalau kita tengok kitten ataupun anak kucing minum susu daripada mak dia, tapi kucing tu tak minum susu. Kucing dia tak akan minum susu, tapi anak kucing dia minum susu. Anak anjing minum susu. Anak lembu pun minum susu. Okay, ya, anak lembu minum susu, tapi lembu tu tak minum susu. Okay, so that's why sometimes I joke, what are we? Are we kittens to drink milk? Are we still puppies to drink milk? Are we still anak lembu to drink milk? Now, the whole idea of milk was actually started about 8,000 years ago, when the agricultural industry came around. Okay, about 8,000 years ago. Now you must understand, we as Homo sapien, modern men, so-called modern men, based on the archaeological punya data that we have. Okay, ini bukan punya data lah, archaeological punya data. We have been around for about 200 to 250,000 years, based on the Egyptian, based on the bones yang kita dah temui itu. Okay, we have about 200 to 250,000 years modern man. Before that, man tu lagi kuno lah. Okay, dia ada Netherlands land, macam-macam man tu. Now, so milk only started to be drunk about 8,000 years ago. And before that, even the cows were not domesticated. Cows were wild. Everything was wild. Okay, today you got tigers which are wild, elephants which are wild. They are living in their own wild world. Okay, these are wild. You try to take a wild cow. Okay, katakanlah you ambil wild cow tu. Okay, cow daripada jungle tu. You try to extract the milk out. The cow will give you a kick. You know, so it took them time to domesticate cow, just like how it took them time to domesticate ataupun membela horses, for example. Horses were all wild. Okay, so now because of that, the drinking of milk only started about 8,000 years ago, which means about 240,000 years, man never drank milk. 240,000 years, man never drank milk. Only 8,000 years ago, the culture started drinking milk. Okay. Now, if you ask me, I grew up in a Malay environment. Okay, I used to stay with all my friends were all Malays. Now, dalam tahun 70-an, 60-an, kalau I tengok lah orang Melayu, dia tak minum susu. Kalau dia minum, you boleh tanya you punya nenek moyang. Kalau nenek you masih hidup, datuk you masih hidup, datuk you ask datuk. Nenek ask nenek. Dulu masa you muda-muda you ada minum susu tak? Dia akan cakap tak pernah minum susu. Kalau minum teh, dia minum teh O. Kalau minum kopi, dia minum kopi O. You tanyalah, you tengok you punya ni culture orang Melayu. Okay? Orang Melayu tak pernah minum susu. That's a fact. It's a fact. Okay? Orang Cina pun tak pernah minum susu. Kalau mereka pernah minum susu pun, dia dah masuk susu dalam dia punya teh Cina. Tak pun masuk dalam teh Cina dia. Okay? This culture of drinking milk actually came from the Aryan punya culture lah, about 8,000 years ago. Slowly, kalau you tengok orang South America tu yang makan koko. Actually, koko ataupun kakao is coming from South America. Okay, daripada Mexican punya Aztec punya culture. Dia orang tak masuk susu. Okay, orang putih bila dia ambil koko daripada South America tu, dialah yang masuk susu jadi coklat susu. Okay, this is how it all started about 300 years ago, 200 years ago. Chocolate was never had milk inside there, but we started adding milk. Even tea never had milk. Darjeeling tea ke ataupun Lipton tea atau macam-macam tea yang kita minum, dia tak minum tea macam tu. Dia tak minum masuk susu. Orang putih je yang masuk susu ni, dia suka masuk susu bagi dia macam sedap. Okay, so orang Melayu, once again orang Melayu tak pernah minum susu, and orang Cina pun actually tak pernah minum susu. This I already explained many times. Okay, now what is problem with susu? Susu ni dia ada allergic reaction. Okay, the protein is an allergic reaction. It will disturb our immune system. So long term, it is part and parcel of inflammation. Okay, now I have seen a lot of children, orang kecil, children age of 1, 2, 3 years of age, ada asma, ada sinus, okay. Actually, all this is banyak inflamasi tu, hidung dia meleleh, for example, it is actually caused by milk. Now, then their mothers will tell you, ada mak dia jangan khawatir, benda ni dalam masa bila dia besar sikit, dalam masa dia 6 years old or 7 years old, benda ni akan hilang. Actually, bila dia masuk 6 years old, 7 years old, itulah masa dia masuk sekolah. Bila dia masuk sekolah, dia punya intake of milk reduces a lot. Bila reduces a lot, that's why the problem will slowly go away. Okay, so all these is issues caused by milk. And today we are beginning to realize milk is causing a lot of problem. In fact, I got one uncle who is an ENT specialist. Okay, dah lama dah 15 tahun dulu I dah beritahu uncle, you ni ENT specialist, tapi you tengoklah you punya problem ni, banyak orang ada children dia ada banyak allergy. This is 15 years ago 15 to 20 years ago. And I told him, I said, why don't you ask your children to stop taking milk for 2 weeks? Just try. Okay, so they kata, okay, I will try. This is before we all understood about milk. 15 years ago, nothing was written about milk allergy. Okay, belum masuk dalam kita punya textbook, medical textbook lagi. 15-20 years ago. So he tried. Within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, he saw a lot of improvement. Then one fine day, 3 months ago, he met me again. He said, Jagdev, you were right, lah. Your milk is causing a lot of problem. So this is a problem. Okay, so milk can cause a lot of problem. Inflammation is one of the problem. Now in US, this is US, you tengok ni. This is a real 12,000. This is a organization. This is Dr. Neil kat sini, Dr. Bernard Neil ni, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, press release August 16, 2018. Dia kata stop drinking milk. No, I'm saying bukan saya yang cakap ni. Ini 12,000 members daripada the Physician Committee for Responsible Medicine. They are saying stop drinking milk and also stop taking cheese, anything which is milk related. Okay, this is submitted. It's a petition on October 3 at the beginning of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. They say that it may actually lead to breast cancer, the cheese. Okay, now the processed cheese is even worse. You must understand, cheese comes from milk. Okay, now pasal apa benda ni tak ada dulu kala tak ada? I suspect is the milk processing. Your milk is being processed today. There is homogenized. Today is pasteurized. You are actually destroying a lot of proteins there, which is denature the proteins. Proteins are changing. That's why it is now become an allergy, become a foreign body to your body. Hence, the body will try to take it off. Hence, it will trigger the inflammatory pathways. Back to the issue of inflammation. So, you see how the connection is? Okay, because the proteins are all being denatured ataupun the perubahan berlaku dalam kita kerana homogenization, pasteurization. So, as I say as now, I'm not saying this. No, 12,000 doctors cannot be wrong. This is an organization in America and they are asking people don't drink milk. But the milk industry is very, very strong, very, very strong. I remember this. I remember a friend of mine, the dean or vice dean of UKM. She was an ONG. She was an ONG specialist, and in UKM, I don't want to mention names, but she actually tried her level best to stop infant milk to be promoted in the hospital.
All right.
This is way back in the 20 years ago, 30 years ago. She understood all these issues, okay? And milk was also a lot of problem. So she took it. Professor, I don't mention names. This professor, a lady professor, ONG from UKM, she did a lot of work to stop the milk companies from selling milk to the, in fact, you know what they were used to do? They used to give all these milk packets for free. I think you all know this lah. 30 years ago, 20 years ago. I think now the practice already stopped. Why? Because a lot of allergies are being caused by this problem. Okay, so this is Dr. Colin Campbell. He wrote a book called The China Study, and he did a lot of work. And he found that casein is a component. Casein is a protein found in milk. Casein is the most relevant cancer promoter ever discovered, and this casein is found in milk. Okay, he did some studies to prove it. Again, as I said, a lot of milk companies will really be angry with me, but I'm just sharing you. I'm here just to trigger your mind. Go and do your own research. Even I have reduced my milk intake as much as possible. I'm a Punjabi. Punjabi kita minum susu. Kalau minum susu, cow's milk fine. But if I take it from a processed milk, powdered milk, packet milk, I try not to take it as far as possible. Of course, there are alternatives. You can use coconut milk as an alternative if you want your coffee to be a little white color. But I already told you just now, kalau tengok dalam tahun 70-an, 60-an, kalau orang Cina minum kopi, dia suka minum kopi kopi kau-kau tu, dia minum kopi
kampung, we call it.
Dia minum kopi dia tak masuk susu. Kalau orang Melayu, kalau minum teh O saja, dia tak minum teh susu. This is a new phenomenon started in the 80s and 90s. And today we have got condensed milk. Lagi teruk. Condensed milk lagi teruk. Pasal apa? Condensed milk dah masuk susu, lagi masuk gula lagi. Okay? In fact, I'm not so sure, condensed milk mainly found in 4 countries saja. Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and Brunei. You go to European countries, they don't have condensed milk the way we have. Okay, they tak guna condensed milk the way we are using. So condensed milk is actually something that you should try to avoid as much as possible. But it's very nice to take. People those days, I also do that last time. Ambil break tu, masuk condensed milk tu sedap makan. Tapi sedap makan, lama-lama you're going to cause a lot of problems. So you have to be careful. So you can read this China Study book. I've read this book, a very interesting book. This guy, Colin Campbell, he's from Cornell University. University, which is an Ivy League in US. So very, very famous. Today, the guy who is in charge of nutrition at Cornell University is a good friend of mine, Dr. Tom Brenner, okay, who succeeded him. Okay, so this is to cover the milk. Okay.
All right. Very good, Mr. Jagdeep. I know. Can we hold it there? Ada few questions.
Yes,
Kita
please.
entertain some of the questions as agreed. Okay. Okay. Look at here. They were asking, how about lactose-free milk? Is it the same?
Okay. Okay. Now, all right. Lactose-free milk. Okay. I know people are lactose intolerant. Okay. Lactose is just one component. Okay, just now I mentioned casein, CASEIN. Lactose still ada. Okay, that casein tu masih ada kat dalam milk tu. Okay, so yeah, some people who are lactose intolerant, fine. You want to take lactose apa yang tak ada lactose pun, tapi ada casein. You still have to concern about the casein. Casein is a protein. Okay, you homogenize, you pasteurize, you are actually causing the problem. I suspect, this is my belief, I suspect you are actually denaturing the protein is being ubah, and that's the perubahan tu yang menyebabkan inflamasi berlaku dalam kita punya badan. So always go for natural food lah kalau boleh. Tapi if you look at the milk industry, the whole milk industry is a very unnatural way of doing things like that. You know, I give you a very good example lah, very simple logic lah. Logic there is mothers can only produce milk when they give birth to a baby. Betul tak? These mothers can only give milk when they give birth to babies, right? It's only for maximum for human beings is for about 2 years, right? For 2 years or maximum 3 years, mothers can continue to give milk. But today we don't feed milk, mother's milk to babies. We only wait for 3 months, 6 months, then we stop. We put them on infant milk. Okay. But what about the cows? Do you know how they have to induce the cows to make milk all that while. And the male cows are normally killed, are culled. The male cows, they only keep the female cows. So it's an industry that you have to really think about. Like, of course, there are a lot of videos there. I've seen the videos. Be careful. That's why there's a big movement of people going to vegan. Okay, vegan. They don't take any milk-related products or milk derivative products. Okay, you can see this slide here. These are some of the harmful effects of milk. It is mucus causing. Mucus causing. Okay. Any questions?
Okay, one more. They were asking one more. How about commercialized mixed skim milk and colostrum drink? Oh my dear.
Sama je.
Yeah, it's all come in different form.
Yeah, actually, I asked a very simple question. Dia kata skim milk. Skim milk maknanya the fats, they've removed the fats out. I asked a very simple question. Did nature make a mistake? Did nature make a mistake that he has put the fats that is going to cause you heart disease? No, it doesn't work that way. Nature is always perfect. Nature, unless you want to question God lah. Okay, nature, I'm talking about God lah. Nature is always perfect. Nature is always perfect. But you go and make skim milk because you say you believe that nature is not perfect. No, nature is always perfect. So this is my answer to that simple question. Don't take skim milk. If you want to take milk, take with the fats. The fats are good fats anyway.
Right, Mr. Jagdeep. All right. The 2 points.
I can talk so much over the left.
Mr. Jagdeep, as I told you, beware. Right? As I told you, wear your seatbelt. When he talks, he can go and on until 3 hours.
Betul.
That's what you say.
My major problem.
Because he loves to share. We love to share to the public, but it's just that somehow.
Okay, never mind. The next one very fast.
Next one. So why I say this, because Mr. Jagdeep ada if is kita tengok ada in view of time dia nak bagi lebih. He wants to give more. Then discuss another topic. But let's go to the last topic. Over to you, Mr. Jagdeep.
Okay. Come on. Okay. Despite me review. Okay. Now this is the meat which is not raised in the natural environment, meat which is commercialized. Okay, now this meat which is commercialized, a lot of problems are happening already. Okay, now I give you a very good example. Okay, I'm just going to leave it here. You can read it there, right? Now let me just say, now to make the meat, you see that they are going to make the chicken as heavy as possible so that or to grow the chicken as fast as possible. Okay, so they're going to add a lot of injections. They're going to add a lot of antibiotics. You see, when they raise chickens in a big coop, okay, they will add antibiotics in their water so that they don't become sick. Because once they become sick, one infection, semua boleh mati. So they will add antibiotics. That's why today you go to the supermarket, there is an antibiotic-free chicken. Okay, today, there are people trying to raise the awareness that there is antibiotic-free chicken. Actually, all your meat has got antibiotic. I can show you, I can prove to you, people have done research, all your meat has got antibiotic because they have added antibiotic into the water which the chickens feed on. Okay, so all these are things that is going to cause problems. Because antibiotics is going to disrupt your gut microbiome. Now, meat has got the wrong fats. Okay, why meats? Originally they used to give them coconut oil. They thought that if I give coconut oil to the cows will become fat. You know what happened in the 60s when they did the experiment? After 6 months, the cows became thinner with coconut oil. Itu hakikat dia. Okay, then they realize to make the cows fat, okay, they have to give fats that can make them fat. And you know what was the fat? Sunflower oil, corn oil, soybean oil. These are the fats that can make the fats, the thing become fat. Now I give you a good example. Now kalau kita tengok chicken, kalau kita tengok ayam tu kalau dia dalam ayam kampung, okay, apa dia makan? Okay, dia makan apa? Dia makan cacing actually. Dia gari-gari dia makan cacing ataupun dia makan seeds, biji-bijian or whatever it is. Okay. If they find corn maknanya jagung kalau terjatuh tu dia akan makan 1-2 je. Okay. Tapi today we give corn-based food to the chicken. Everything is corn. Dia tak makan apa lagi. Dia tak makan cacing, dia tak makan biji-bijian, dia makan corn aja. Okay. Now you must understand, I already explained to you, corn has got a high amount of omega-6. So corn is not their makanan ruji dia orang. Okay. Same with cows. Okay. So they got a lot of omega-6 there. Omega-6 is only going to disrupt a lot of functions. The cows and the chicken become big very, very fast. Okay. I can tell you a lot of things about chicken. I try not to eat chicken anymore, knowing how the meat are being produced. But this is one thing here I'm going to talk to you. Of course, it raises the C-reactive protein. It causes insulin resistance because the wrong fats. It raises the insulin-like growth factor. Now, and there are also pollutants. Glycation, I think I already explained this. Now, there's one factor here I'm going to explain this, TMAO. Meat produces TMAO. This is something very, very new. Just came out a few years ago. Trimethylamine N oxide. Now, what does TMAO do? Now, TMAO in their gut, okay, can actually cause all these problems. Okay. Now, in the gut, you've got choline, got carnitine. Now, in the gut bacteria, it produces TMAO. Now, and this TMAO is an indirect cause. Datanya daripada meat. Meat yang ada choline dengan carnitine tu akan masuk dalam kulit bakteria. Bakteria itu akan mengubahkan choline dengan carnitine ini kepada TMAO. Okay. TMAO, clinical effects. This is, as I said, this is something very, very new. A lot of doctors don't know this yet. It is now linked to kidney disease, linked to heart disease, linked to heart attacks, linked to metabolic syndrome, and linked to type 2 diabetes. So this is very, very new. A lot of people do not know this yet. The science of this is not very strong yet, but there is this effect which can happen. Okay, so basically, these are the areas that I wanted to cover. Be careful with all this information. I've already shared with you 3 information today: trans fats, dairy, and meat which are raised in the farms. Okay. Once again, my disclaimer is there. But before that, if there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point on the last point, meaning that the 3 points that we covered today, which is the trans fat, the dairy product, and the meat, of course. Yeah? So again, I think this is the way to go.
Yeah, let me just put this so that you all can read this. Yeah.
Okay, good, Mr. Jadim. This is what we say the way to go on this 3, because as we have discussed and covered for today, in view of time, actually, sedar tak sedar, we almost cover 1 hour. As I said, cover 1 hour dah Mr. Jadim, even 3 points. And same goes to the first 3 points that we discussed on part 1. And of course, not to worry. And the good news is we have the next 3 points to be discussed on the last sessions, which is next week, inshallah. Yeah,
yes.
God's will. And,
yes.
Cover
any
lagi.
Questions? I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Yes, so far so good. Dia memanglah dia still cakap milk is pasteurized and ultra heated. Yeah, ada few more. Tapi we waiting for the about the last point. The second, the second point still, people still ask about goat's milk. Alright, so again, so kita dah summary kan ya.
Okay. Now goat's milk is less allergenic. Okay, goat's milk is less allergenic. There's not much research done on goat's milk. We know that cow's milk is produced very in a commercialized way. Goat's milk, I'm not so sure really, but I know that there are some doctors who promote goat's milk because it is less allergenic. So if you want to compare, maybe it is less allergenic. But I still feel milk as a whole should only be drunk when you are young, as a baby, as old. We should actually give up milk. Now, I already told you just now, once again, for 240,000 years, man never drank milk as adults. I think we should follow that. Okay, we should go that. You want to find a better alternative, go ahead. But that's the hakikat dia. Itu hakikat. Itu hakikat dia. That's where we should aim ourselves. Okay.
Right. So, Mr. Jagdiv, as I say, is so much so ada banyak komen lah ya. On top of that, people, I thought meat is one of the best source of iron, right? Yeah, we hear there's no such thing as tak bagus atau apa. What I'm trying to say, tak ada kebaikan in the meat tu. Ada juga kebaikannya.
Ayam kampung lah makan. Ayam kampung.
Yeah,
not the commercialized race. Now, for those who want to have a little more information about meat eating, there is a documentary called Game Changer. You can see it in your Netflix ataupun you tengok dalam YouTube dia. YouTube atau Netflix. The title is Game Changer. G-A-M-E, Game Changer, C-H-A-N-G-E-R. It's about 1 hour and 20 minutes documentary. Just watch that. You might want to change your idea. I'm here, as I say, I'm here not to make you believe what I believe. That's not my what I'm here to trigger your manager. You decide for yourself.
Betul. So yeah, we can, as I said, it's a sharing sessions that we want people to understand what's the best, moving forward in day-to-day life, insyaAllah, right? So, Mr. Jagdiv, do you have time for your Blue Zone ke? Tak payah, seriously.
No, I can talk, but I don't know whether you have time. I think dah pukul 12 dah.
It's almost 12. Okay, kita
I leave it to you. I leave it to you, Dr. Linda.
Okay, I tell you what, kita bagi pengenalan sedikit. We might not be telling all, takut tersempat, seriously. I have to be very frank, kita can still go on sebenarnya. As I say, kita tak nak. Apa yang tak nak, bukan tak nak. Siapa yang rasa need to go, I mean, they can leave, as I said. There's still people waiting here. That's why I said, we bagi sikit, Mr. Jagdiv.
Okay, tak apa. I takkan bagi any slide. Because once I give you a slide, cerita akan berpandang lebar, tak guna. Okay, basically, it's a guy called Mr. Dan Buettner. Dan Buettner, dia pergi as far as he can go in the world lah, looking for cultures ataupun a group of people who live very, very long. Okay. Now, these people, he has already identified 5 areas in the world where people live very, very long. Okay. People, 80 years old is a normal age. 90 years old is a normal age. 100 years, people die at 100 years or 102, 105. That's how people die at that age. And they live very healthily. So, in my next session, this is called the blue zone. Okay.
Yes.
They have identified 5 blue zones. Okay. So in my next session, I'll explain to you where are these 5 blue zones. Let me just tell you one. Okay. One is very famous, Okinawa. Okinawa in Japan is already identified as one of the 5 blue zone. Di manakah dia 4 lagi? Itu kita
nantikan
untuk next session. And I will also explain to you apa pemakanan dia, why they don't die so young, why they die at a very healthy age of 100 years old. Actually, if you ask me, the longest living person on Malaysia ni, I tak tahu siapa lah, I tak tahu siapa you have in mind, but I think is Mat Kilau. Many people don't know, many people do not know who is Mat Kilau. Mat Kilau, you go and read about the history, but I think the longest living Malaysian ever lived in Malaysia, Tanah Melayu ni, is Mat Kilau. When he came out from a jungle, he was about 120 years old.
Okay, kita explore. Okay,
kita explore ni. Okay, next session we'll explore what are the factors that make people live long and why is it that Mat Kilau can live so long.
Masya-Allah.
Okay.
Right. So good. That's a good point that we're going to say that kita akan summarizekan the 5 area of blue zones tadi. Satu area dah bongkarkan by Mr. Jagdeep, which is Okinawan, Japan. Memang dia ada such a huge populations of Okinawan. Dia ada study dia, such a nice place. Now, good to have and good to visit Okinawan island tu actually, kan? Good to kita dapat pergi. At the end of the day, tak apa, kita belajar dulu dekat sini, walaupun kita tak sampai Japan lagi, kita nak belajar dulu apa lagi area lain. In view of time, Mr. Jagdeep, you just stop share, Mr. Jagdeep, your slide. To be frank, Mr. Jagdeep won't mind to give your slides later. I mean, you can give to Karen or such so that kita boleh. So some of them, many of them would love to have your slides so that dia nak read a lot and all those kan. So again, kita berterima kasih sekali lagi. There's some.
Thank you.
I mean, more comments saying here, thank you, Mr. Jagdeep. Thank you for all your points and sharing today. Some say, yes, they agree with all the point chat. Yeah. So, yeah, tepuk dada tanya iman. Tepuk dada not just tanya selera. You cannot be tanya selera all the time. You tanya your iman. I mean, where do you stand? Yeah? Dekat mana pegangan you, kat mana you stand on. So that's why again, so much so ramai yang berterima kasih sekali tu Mr. Jagdeep. As usual, very lively as it is. Mr. Jagdeep memang at his age memang masih bertenaga. Look at that, even on Friday orang semua dah nak bercuti kan. Although he's still jovial and still lively as he is of course, yeah. So dengan ini kita terima kasih sekali lagi Mr. Jagdeep. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your all explanations, yeah.
Thank you
we meet again next week. Dengan ini saya sudahi dengan wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you everyone. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Yeah, thank you so much.